Kabanda. Honorable, I need you to speak to our viewers, introduce yourself fully. I know many know you, but just introduce yourself again, and we'll have a conversation for the next 1 hour or so.
Good evening, viewers. It's nice being here. As introduced, I'm Aisha Kabanda, Woman Member of Parliament, Butambala District. I'm the Deputy Secretary General of National Unity Platform.
Very nice to have you here. The Honorable Eddie Kwizera. I also need you to introduce yourself. I've introduced you, but I need you to introduce yourself.
My name is Kwizera Eddie Wagahungu, and I'm a Member of Parliament for Buchimbiri County and Isoro District. Thank you.
Buchimbiri, I'm told to get to Buchimbiri, sometimes you have to cross over into the DRC and then come back into Uganda.
Yeah, because of the poor road network.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I was getting that wrong. And the Honorable James Ruji Kaberuka. Very nice to have you, sir.
Thank you, Charles and viewers. As you have said, I'm James Ruji Kaberuka, here in Jimani. I'm a Member of Parliament in Chizu West constituency, and I'm glad to be here this evening.
Let me start with you, Honorable Kaberuka. You authored an open letter to the President. I had you on a debate on Saturday on a different show, and you hold very strong views about Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Yesterday, you had heated debate in Parliament. Some fist punches were thrown in Parliament.
The showdown.
Yes, the showdown. we saw it in Parliament.
And the crashing.
And a few members were given lifts home. I'm told everybody was driven to their house. Video evidence was collected that Aisha Kabanda had reached her house and brought back. You just watched the President. What your take? What are the three key issues that stand out for you from his address and this whole coffee debate?
One, I want to thank the President because he has given the whole spectrum to the nation what it means today that now UCDA is done with, it is gone, so what? So he's also showing his mighty power that he is even able to crush everything. Two, he has also aligned his people like how he has always done. Because I remember in 2013 to 14, when he wanted to eliminate the Secretary General of the party, he aligned the people to speak against the Secretary General then in Nambole. I remember...
You're referring to JPAM?
John Patrick Amama Mbabas. I remember General Kahinda. I remember when some of us woke up to speak with the soldiers were on our neck. That time, the showdown was also the showdown. I think when he was tired of Operation Wealth Creation in January 2022, he said, these are a bunch of thieves, and they are the people he has been lining here, saying they are the people who have been doing well in the coffee. So this ping pong can only be say that, Mr. President, today, yes, UCDA is gone, but NRM is here, and the people of Uganda are here. What we need not to hear again is to hear that you were misguided, like how Bujagali was done, and you said well, you were misguided. We need now this talk that the President was having, it should have started earlier, such that people discuss and synergize on the topic, such that by the time he reaches to the forming of the crafting of the law, he is conversant of what the facts, because today I can challenge him if we are together, that these things that they are talking, it is, you see, it is, what is the creation that was doing all that manyanga, and now it is, and he said it on 22nd January 2022. He said these are thieves, they are corrupt, they have been giving seedlings to themselves, and they are the ones who were, he said that they are seed growers. Seed growers. That is very paramount. So if you said that time, have you forgotten that they are the people whom you planted in UCDA and NAADS to drain the budget of NAADS to get 21 billion? Actually, Operation Waste Circulation has been getting 21 billion for renting houses, offices only, from NAADS. And they got 300 billion to buy vehicles. Now, Mr. President, what that drain was meant to support the farmers of Uganda, but you opted to get these soldiers who were getting weak, to make sure you give them somewhere to be busy, and you drew money from the consolidated fund, 21 billion per year, to rent the offices of Operation Waste Creation. Now, 300 billion to buy vehicles, and also more billions to buy fuel for those vehicles. Why didn't you consolidate all of that and defend the farmer?
Okay.
So going forward, I would think that it is time now to reflect on what we envisage as the way forward as a government, because I'm part of the government.
You're part of the ruling party.
I'm a part of the ruling party. I would want to see that the president, before he reaches that crafting of the law, he should first have that discussion before, because that is now firefighting. This is firefighting. Okay. It's not solution giving, but he's just firefighting.
The Honorable Aisha Kabanda, you watched the president, you listened to him make his presentation today, and he makes that very important statement. He says, now it is abolished. Those who have been saying, I'm going to steal the coffee, Museveni is going to steal the coffee, now it is abolished. Let's see what happens. What's your take out of his address?
Isn't your word important, misplaced? He made a very important statement. Well, the word important, you seem to be misplacing it. He said it, but it's not important. Allow me begin by quoting Muanga, the former vice president. Was he Vice President Milton Obote? He one time said, Ugandans are jubilating over Museveni's rise to power, although they have no idea what awaits them. I know President Museveni inside out, and I can tell from his sitting posture and how he blinks his eyes what he's thinking or plotting. By the time Museveni's rule ends, the country will have lost its possessions and national assets. The political class will be divided, one against the other, and Ugandans will be in ruins. That's what Muanga one time said about Museveni. No wonder many of the people that he started with are no longer with him. No wonder many Ugandans came to understand him much later than they joined him. I don't know how important that statement is, but let me say the statement you said that it's, well, now it's gone, then what? Okay, it's gone. Like many things that have happened to us, that's how he was arrogantly speaking about them. You remember when he went into the Umeme deal? The opposition so much fought against it. President Museveni was in for Umeme, and now he's saying they should go. You remember Bujagali? He even called some members of parliament traitors, called them names. But now everybody is crying of Bujagali. You remember Karuma? You remember how he sang so much about privatization? And many members of parliament then were against privatization of some entities like UCB, if you recall. But you know, we are now rebuilding what his regime destroyed. It's gone, then what? Let's wait, just give it time, time will tell. Because many of the things we've done under him, under such circumstances, we've regretted as a country. We've paid the cost. You know what is happening in Karuma? We paid lots of money, and in a short time the dam is collapsing. You know how much money we are paying over here, dimmed energy as a result of Aswa Dam, which people objected so much. So in the whole of this thing, I don't know how important that statement is. We say he said it, very important statement. Well, he said it, but I would like to say Ugandans have lost that out.
What's your pick out of his 2 hours of speech? More than 2 hours.
It is just it is just, if I use the word arrogance, permit me use it, because I have read President Museveni's 3 statements. He wrote the first one, he wrote a second one,
All on coffee.
he wrote a third one. I have all of them. And I partially listened to him today because I didn't have an option. He made me sit here to listen to him. All he's saying, I want it and I'll take it. Today he said, yes, I wanted it and I've taken it. Then do what you want. That's all he's saying. Okay? It is just, it is the arrogancy of a president that does not want to listen to anyone. He's struggling so much to explain his case. I don't know how many statements he has made since he started rationalizing, especially about this coffee thing, okay? When you see yourself struggle so much to make people appreciate, then you know probably yourself you needed time. He has so much demonized UCDA. But let me tell you, UCDA has been here for 33 years, okay? Why has it taken President Museveni that long to recognize that actually UCDA was parasitic, like he says? It was wasteful, parasitic, it has eaten up all resources. 33 years? It takes you all that time to recognize that? How would you describe such a leader? Okay, assuming he's right. Put other factors constant. All you're saying is wrong. President Museveni is right. UCDA was wrong. It was being exploitative, parasitic, wasteful, duplicative. When you take 33 years to see your mess, then there's a very serious problem with you. If you're a student, you'd be categorized as a slow learning student, okay? 33 years, the mess into which he has put us, assuming what is right, what he's saying is right. But to some of us, it does not surprise us that he has made several tactics to get coffee from the people. The first one was the Pineti deal. When he said he wants this coffee to, these people go to Chankwazi know that when Pineti went to the president, went to meet NRM members of parliament in Chankwazi, President Museveni said, actually Pineti was not interested, it is me who interested her into this thing. He said that. Why is it that after he's been frustrated about all the dealings between him and his private partners, he has chosen now to rationalize? I know many of these organizations have been victims of the UCDA deal. Probably some of them would have stayed, but how would he have explained it? So many of these other organizations have been victims of his interest in the coffee deal. You need to go deep and look into the law if you're very, very interested. How do you go and legitimize some of these things that are supposed to be administrative, that you put into the law, that you're going to now to teach people how to consume coffee? And we know that the son-in-law was very, very interested into a deal of promoting coffee. And you go and you put into the law that the ministry will look for organizations to help them make Ugandans learn how to consume coffee. That's the law President Museveni made. So whatever it is, for us that were in parliament yesterday.
Law President Museveni made or you guys made in parliament?
But I mean, we recently, what President Museveni willed, passed, okay? Do you know that recently we made a budget and members of parliament made sure that the aspirations of the people were put in the budget? President Museveni returned the whole budget and turned it upside down. Do you know? Do you know that many of us were thrown out of that parliament? We were thrown, some fear. I know there are members of parliament from the NRM side that would not have loved things to go the way they went. But they feared to speak out because they know they may not survive, probably, whichever way. But at the level, in the condition in which the law was passed, would you say that the will of people presided? Would you say that? I doubt. We were arrested, we were picked, and returned home. By the time we returned, the bill had passed.
The Honorable Eddie Kwizera Wagahungu. You watched, and we've been joined by the minister there. You watched the address of the president to the nation over this chaotic rationalization of UCD and other government agencies. What's your take?
Thank you very much. Maybe I want to welcome our senior, the minister, the spokesman for government. But what I want to comment briefly is that maybe being from also a coffee growing area and a very humble member of parliament, what I observe is that in making any law, there are processes. And if those processes are not complied with, then there is a problem. So what I'm talking about is that in making a Coffee Development Authority Act, there was a process, which process started with public hearing, and there was a coffee policy. So when they are rationalizing, they did not look into the issues of the coffee policy, meaning that there are some aspects of the coffee policy now that contradict the bill that is yet to be assented on, which will bring a policy crash. Secondly, when you want to give it a professional treatment, what we passed yesterday, the people who are rationalizing, who are driving the rationalization, they did not look at what we call supply chain in the coffee sector. They looked at it as if we are looking at UNRWA, which UNRWA supply chain is only getting money from finance and spending it. But in the supply chain of coffee, we have element of research, the farming of coffee. We have element of value addition, which is industrial. We have element of trade, and we have element of export. In all of those components cannot be managed under one ministry, because the Minister of Agriculture, where they are taking coffee, is responsible for crop production. But remember, after crop production and you have harvested, then you have to process the coffee, which is industrial, under industrial policy. And industrial policy is managed by another minister, but not the Minister of Agriculture. So even after, as provided for in the policies, even after you have processed or you have added value under the industrial policy, you have to export or to trade. That's another trade policy. So when they were rationalizing, they never looked at research policy, they never looked at crop production policy, they never looked at export policy, they never looked at industrial policy to harmonize them. We agree that rationalization is okay. But it is wrong to believe that maybe because you are a minister, maybe because you are a member of parliament, you are more informed than the public. Because we are at test. The public is looking at, have this cabinet done the best? Because there are some people who are outside there, more informed and knowledgeable than members of cabinet, than ministers, than members of parliament. So the relationship between members of parliament and the cabinet is that we carry information from the people, those informed and not informed, and it is processed within the parliament. Meaning that members of parliament represent the public in making the law, which is a constitutional matter. Because public participation in making any law is a public matter. So what I see now, what the my senior brother, Honorable Jones, will be having a very big challenge to talk every day, is to match the public expectation and government interest and what is done by parliament. So those matters must be harmonized. There is what the public expects. There is what government has in its own wisdom done, and it has been tested in parliament and approved by parliament. So those mismatch of expectations, to manage those expectations can result into resentment. Meaning that since politics is recruitment of support, wrongly or rightly, because some people who tribalize the coffee sector or anything, they can recruit support basing on wrong information, basing on right information. So we should be mindful of what we do, because if we are doing politics and
do you
politics,
think, before I go to Dr. Chris Bariomos, who's just joined us, you must have seen him at State House when the president was giving the address to the nation. And Honorable Minister, we appreciate that you have been able to cross quickly and join us in studio here.
no,
Thank you very much.
you see that one, what the president has been saying, and the very patriotic army officers who are there, and saying that UCDA did not perform to expectations. Who are you blaming? Who is responsible? Who should take the blame? Me as a member of parliament, I neither established UCDA, only that by that time they passed the law, but I don't appoint the board. I don't appoint the MD. So who takes the blame?
You
Secondly,
don't you take
no,
part
no,
of,
what I'm saying.
Don't you take part of the responsibility?
No, what I'm saying,
You
we
participated.
can take the blame on members of parliament failing to provide oversight. But you provide oversight on legal entities that are given budget, and there is also Auditor General's warrants in giving budgets. But I want Honorable Badiomons to tell us who provides oversight on wealth creation. Because wealth creation does not have any legal instrument.
The minister is here who will speak for himself.
So if it doesn't have any legal instrument, who provides oversight for it?
One quick question for you. Don't you think the president made the case, because he called this address to the nation to make the case for why UCDA and other government agencies should go over the 2 years, over the 2 hours?
The purpose of today's address, the president has seen that what the public expects and what parliament has done and executive is not yet made. So the president came up because he's not satisfied with the information in the public. So he was filling in.
He's struggling.
He's trying to put
people.
gaps to be filled. That's what I can say. Otherwise, if he was satisfied with what cabinet is doing and what parliament has done and the results, the president wouldn't have addressed the meeting.
Charles, that one shows how he is struggling to do what he should have done earlier, because a law...
My question is, did he achieve it?
He didn't, because he has taken the coffee, the UCDA, as he has said, but he's doing what he should have done, because the consultation, the information is giving, he should have done it earlier, other than now that he has now abolished the UCDA, now he's struggling to answer questions.
Honorable Kaberuka, someone is going to say that you guys are politicking because you are members of the ruling party. He called you to a field visit on Friday last week to explain his position. He did explain to those members who were there. He's written, the Honorable Aisha Kabanda showed us 3 letters so far, explaining his position. I've seen the permanent secretary treasurer to the treasury also write and explain rationalization. They brought you a bill. It was an omnibus bill. You sent it back. They broke it up and brought it back to you. You've debated it. Haven't you had sufficient time to engage with this issue and debate it?
First of all, I want to put it clear again, and the ministers here will bear witness to it. Even this member of parliament is from NRM. The first engagement was in State House, and they were listed people to speak. That one curtailed members who had issues to raise them. Then the visit to Chisozi was...
True.
It is true.
He called for all those who had comments.
Then in Chisozi, the people in Chisozi went to visit cows and other farms. There was no discussion. Even the chief whip could not speak. So he spoke in that manner.
You did go to Chisos yourself?
No, but it is clear. If anybody who went there tells you that there was a discussion, you can retract that statement.
But also your
but
question,
also-
1 second, my brother. Your question is also telling. You are saying the president explained it to members of parliament. Does he have to explain or to consult them? Did he make a consultation with members of parliament? Did he ask them what their constituents were saying? Why does he have to call exporters now? He should have actually advised in parliament that they give it time. We speak to people. They declined. So do you call members of parliament to dictate to them and coach them? Or you call them as colleagues and sit with them
Exactly.
and consult them of a matter?
So that's why I was saying there is a difference between a briefing and a meeting. So when you call me for a briefing, I stand the way, like the way you saw Honorable Minister, they were seated there. They were being briefed. I think you didn't see any contribution from them. They were just being briefed by these security officers, and I think, I don't know whether he was satisfied by the briefing, and I think this man is very knowledgeable. And I think he had also something to contribute, but did you see any contribution from him? So those are differences that we need the president. Going forward, we are saying that now you have done it, it is better we look at, we nipple the previous mistakes. If Vijagali was done the way it was done, and you advised, and you later said, I was ill-advised, are you going also to say you were ill-advised on this issue of coffee?
Unfortunately, he won't be
let's
around
hear
to
from the
regret.
minister.
After the farmers
Yes.
get a low
That's the
deal.
unfortunate part of
Let's
it.
hear from the minister. Honorable Minister, the president has been explaining to the nation over the last 2 hours. We saw a lot of drama in parliament yesterday, heavy deployment, a member of parliament was punched. Why should the process of governance and
Journalists
particularly
arrested.
legislation be pushed through like what we saw, through so much chaos?
Thank you very much, Charles. I hope I am on.
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
And good evening, fellow panelists and viewers. So I came in late, I didn't capture the submissions of my colleagues, but I can predict with microscopic accuracy the kind of statements they were making, because they are my colleagues in the parliament and I know their stance over this issue. Maybe to recap before I answer your question, is that it is the government that created many of these agencies over the last 20, 30 years. And there was a policy review. And definitely, every serious person knows when the government introduces policies, after some time you can review these policies and make the necessary changes. So around 2016-17, there was an assessment on the performance of the agencies vis-a-vis the mainstream government, ministries and local governments. And a report was generated, which report was presented in the cabinet in 2018, and we've been discussing this matter in the last 7 years or so in the cabinet of Uganda. And we took a position as a government to rationalize these agencies. And I think the president was very explicit on some of the justifications, which I will not go into detail to explain. And a decision was made looking at these agencies, and we put them in 3 main streams. They are agencies, we said, given their mandates, especially those that have a strong regulatory mandate, and those which generate non-tax revenue, those should remain. So a number of them remained. There are those that we said their mandates are related, those should be merged. And then there are those we said they can still perform their functions even better when they are taken back to their mother ministries. UCDA falls under that category. So first of all, this policy of rationalization is not only affecting UCDA, but it's a broad policy that has affected many agencies, and a number of them have already been decided upon in the Parliament of Uganda. Those which had been created by statute, by an act of Parliament, required government to come to Parliament either through an amendment bill or a repeal bill in order to actualize that policy shift of rationalization. Now, for various reasons, the bill on coffee, which requires us to take UCDA back into the Ministry of Agriculture, has raised a lot of dust, if I can use that word. Ugandans and people viewing this show know that for the number of months, days and months back, there has been this public debate. That's why even the president comes as head of state to explain this rationalization policy and justify why UCDA. He's not at pain is explaining. He's the head of state. Policy is generated by executive. He's the head. So when he comes to explain to Ugandans, it's because there has been a heated debate, and there are sections of the population, including leaders, that have opposed this policy shift, especially on UCDA. To me, those who are opposed to the bill, I can put them in 3 categories. There are those who genuinely are fearing the unknown, that maybe this decision will result into unwanted and adverse effects. And we have a duty to assure them and explain that no, we have taken a very keen analysis of all this, and we have looked at the implications, the impact of this decision, and we are not worried. Some of us are not worried about the implications of this bill. There are those who just joined the bandwagon simply because I support my honorable MP. Since she's against, I also go with her, without understanding what exactly is the rationale behind what we are doing. Then the third category, where most of my colleagues here fall, is just the element of politicking. Just politicking. They think maybe by jumping on this issue of coffee, since coffee is a popular crop, grown by many Ugandans, up to 12 million farmers, maybe this will improve my political standing in my constituency or in the area where I represent or where I have interest. And of course, there are also these wiseacres in the town who think they know better than many of us. There are those who are abusing us. We don't know what we are doing. This morning I was on the show, and I was saying over 300 members of parliament, particularly those from NRM, we voted yes. So are you saying we are so
How do
silly?
you know?
Some
that
of
we
them are
don't
voting
understand?
machines.
No, are you saying we are so silly that we don't understand what we
How
are
do
doing?
you know that
And I'm
0%
saying, you know,
voted?
so,
I can justify that.
no, just hold on.
Give
Just
me
let
time.
him
Hold
finish.
on.
Just let him finish.
I'm just giving you the
He
background.
posed the question. I could hold
Do you
Yeah.
know those
Just
numbers?
hold on.
Because when you talk of
Just
numbers,
hold on.
Please,
I
let
found
him
you
just finish.
speaking, I was quiet. Let me speak. So, we from government, we know what we are doing because we have studied this matter. When a bill is prepared, we give members of parliament copies of these bills. Members of parliament are paid allowances to go to the constituencies every weekend, 4 times a month. And therefore, we expect that each member of parliament utilize the time we have had these bills to consult his or her constituents. In any case, we are representatives, not delegates, as members of parliament, if you care to know the difference. So, the bill has been well processed. Yes, there was this commotion, but eventually the decision passed. I condemn the uncouth behavior exhibited by some of our colleagues in the parliament who think that if we disagree on a matter, then it should be resolved through violence and disruption in parliament. That forum, that platform of parliament, is for us to debate. That's why everybody has access to a microphone. My views do not have to be palatable to my sister here. But she doesn't have to slap me or push me. If the views of government are not acceptable to you, you go on the microphone and say so.
Then why did
And
you
I
arrest
make-
us?
Come again?
Then why did you arrest us?
Just hold on, I'm coming.
And you
Who
said you
was
condemn.
disrupting, who was causing the chaos in the parliament? Did you see any member of parliament from the NRM side causing any disruption? It was the opposition. And the public knows which side of the house has been mobilizing for violent action in the house in preparation for this debate. Everybody knows. For us, we mobilized our members to go to parliament, to debate, and take a vote and
And
probably
pro-
persuade
and-
our
and-
colleagues who are not in support
Dr.
to see our
Bariomo said-
viewpoint.
Dr. Bariomo,
and
there is an
prefer-
argument that
Yes.
as a democratic government, you ought to be listening. And that Ugandans have been speaking to you, and they have said, we are not opposed to rationalization. But our understanding of rationalization is that you sever the parts that don't work, keep those that work. You've heard from Buganda Kingdom, which has been working with you to promote coffee growing in the region. You've heard from Bunyoro Kingdom. You've heard from people on the street. You've heard from everyone
his
else,
constituents.
from your colleagues
Oh.
in
Yes.
the House. Why has government insisted on pushing this through?
So
can I
are
even
you
help
saying
you? Can I, just one second.
that the
Can I
people in the
even-
government are from
Can,
Congo?
can I even help you make it better? The Committee of Parliament on Agriculture, okay, that listened to various people that went to the committee to witness, made a report on the basis of the argument that President Museveni has been propelling, that UCDA has been parasitic, is that the word? That they've been deprecative, okay? The committee posed all those questions, and you know that the committee ticked all those boxes
What
for
did they
survival.
recommend?
Just one second.
What did the committee recommend? Tell the public.
The committee,
Look in the camera and tell
the
them.
committee, and I'm going to tell them. You think I'm shy of saying that?
say
I
it.
even said it on the floor of Parliament.
Say it, say it.
The committee asked, "Has UCDA been duplicative?" They said no. The committee asked, "Has the UCDA been wasteful?" The answer was no. Has UCDA exhausted its purpose? The answer was no. Okay, but you know that President Museveni called the chairperson of the committee, okay, and they intimidated her into changing the report.
Honorable Aisha
Let me
Kabanda.
conclude. No, his question is.
That's what she told you.
Hold a moment.
His question
what
has
she told
been.
you.
Yes, hold a moment. Because I see you process bills in Parliament, you process reports in Parliament, you make findings and
Yes.
draw a conclusion.
Yes.
So in this particular case,
And I'm
the
here-
minister's
I'm-
question was, what was
The conclusion,
the conclusion of the report?
majority report.
And I'm here to
No,
I'm here
you've gone
tell
to you've gone to explain how the conclusion was arrived at without giving us what the conclusion was.
I am here to tell you that all findings pointed to the survival UCDA because they didn't meet any group of persons other than the ministry that said the UCDA should go. All the respondents they made, they're saying UCDA was good for us, that if UCDA was abolished, it was going to affect the quality, it was going to affect a lot of things. That was all in the findings of the committee, okay?
Yes.
Having made all those findings, then their conclusion was UCDA should go. It is like these Gulu people I always speak about, you know.
Hold it a moment. For the
So are
benefit
you
of our-
choosing the committee
for the
that was
benefit of our
compromised?
viewers.
I am
by somebody?
choosing the executive that arm twisted the chairman's arm to change the conclusion of the committee.
What is the
Say.
evidence of the
Yes.
arm twisting? Because
I have the evidence.
you're giving information to the public, which doesn't have the same opportunity as you do to know the goings on in Parliament. If someone interacts with the report indicates these are the findings, this is our conclusion.
Yes. The report is public.
But
Yes.
Charles,
It's not a secret.
No,
okay?
No, I'm
but
asking-
Charles, but
yes.
Charles,
And, and,
for
and,
sure.
and
Let's
that's
not,
why.
let's not bother Honorable Kabanda because
I was still submitting. I thought you were
seems to
giving
be-
me information.
Seems to be in in a position because I belong to NLM the way Minister belongs to NLM, the way my colleague belongs to NLM. The truth is, actually, the president, the challenge that the president has, is to explain that lacuna, that mismatch. The report shows very clearly how UCDA is relevant, and in the interrogation of the people that they made the committee, show the feelings of the people, all groups across the country. Now, the president has a duty now to show why, because he's the one who appointed that chairperson. He's the one who appointed that chairperson of the committee and the vice chairperson. And I want to put it to him and the minister, who's a spokesperson of the government, that this trend is likely to degenerate into defiance of members of NRM, because the people, NRM is a popular party, and therefore the people who are going to suffer after this
But
failure,
Honorable-
is NRM people not opposition?
Honorable Kavanda,
no,
I know your
Charles,
supporters out there
yes.
will argue and say that I am blocking your point, but I'm not. You work as an independent body. You are members of parliament, all the four of you. You process business in parliament. The reports that you deliver to us that we find, I haven't seen have members of the committee disowned their report and their conclusion?
First of all,
Have they disowned their report and their conclusion?
yes,
When?
How many?
there was a report which was made, and the majority were saying they don't rationalize. Let me tell you what
they
happened.
said.
Just a minute,
They
just a
said
minute, just a
the
minute.
report.
You now hear the question.
You will listen.
Do you hear
will
the
listen.
question?
First, this is the
Honorable
process.
Kaberuka.
Actually, what
Honorable
happened
Kaberuka.
was a drama.
No,
Let
because
me ask-
they call the chief
For the
whip.
benefit
Have
of the viewer,
haven't you heard the question
for
of
the
the
benefit
minister?
of the viewer,
Yes, did the members sign
who
the
doesn't
report?
know-
That's my
Yes.
question.
hold it a moment.
Yes.
For the benefit of the viewer, who doesn't know the processes you follow in
Who
parliament?
doesn't know the organizational politics?
When there is a disagreement about a report by a committee of parliament, what way does that disagreement get demonstrated?
But when the president says,
Hold it a moment.
just 1 second, when the
Now,
president says,
Hold-
I'll crush whoever
Before
stands
we
on my
get
way,
to
what do
the
you want the
president,
people to do?
let's first exhaust parliament, because you are elected in your own right, not on behalf of the president. So first tell me,
First of all,
when members of a
committee,
disagree, how do they express their disagreement of a report?
They express their dissatisfaction through the report
How?
by either writing an alternative report.
A minority
Or
report.
not signing.
Minority.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is how you can.
Is there a minority report
Yes,
in respect
it is
of this?
there. It is
What
there.
does it say?
It says that they don't rationalize.
How many people signed on that? How many members signed on that minority report?
Now, that's where I am coming in now. That's where I'm saying, Mr. President, one time I said, the problem of this country is not opposition. The problem of this country is ourselves who are not truthful to the people that we lead. If you choose the chairperson of the committee, first of all, the first mistake you made as a president is to take responsibility of choosing the committee chairpersons.
That should have been members of parliament.
That is the first mistake you made. And it was made after the number and as issue. And I salute this man because by that time he was
Is
very
that-
active.
let-
No, let me tell you, Honorable Charles,
let's-
Charles,
I hope you
unless
give
we
me chance
interrogate
to
these
clarify.
processes,
Let's be clear.
unless we interrogate
Let's
these
be
processes,
clear.
we cannot get the
Does
conclusion.
he do that? You're a member of the ruling party.
Yes.
Does he do that as president of the Republic of Uganda or as chairman of the NRM?
Now, he
Who
does
appoints?
he does it as chairman NRM.
Okay.
Now, this chairperson because the chairperson came to the committee said, I am duty bound to agree with the Ugandans, the people we have met. Now, it landed into the ears of the powers that be. The chief whip summoned the committee. I was there myself. They
You're a
said,
member of the committee?
I am not a member, but the rules allow me to attend.
Okay.
No.
When
I think let's not
now
allow
that's where the
Pastor
chief
Roger
whip
relying
said,
on the-
I am
on the
under
screen."
instruction. I am under instruction that you agree that the people said no. There were about 3 meetings, and that's when they had even refused to allow other witnesses to come. So this chairperson, Honorable Uma, whom I salute, had to succumb because the pressure was too much. Now, that is where now we are going along, because I know the president is a revolutionary and is the father of democracy in this country. You have something to
Democracy.
correct, Mr. President, on this matter, because the independence of parliament, once you kill it, then you are killing what your
Charles,
father.
I want to say, I want to correct something. No,
yes.
let me correct before the minister comes in.
Yes.
You see, I was telling you that when you are being watched, there are people who are more knowledgeable than us, both in law and in the process and in the policy. So when we are stating these things here, people can use these things as a reference point. The bills are a property of government. But what the Supreme stated very clearly is that in the government of Uganda now and the parliament is that the president of Uganda has 2 jackets or more. As the president, he appoints a minister. A minister is a policy manager in a ministry. And as the chairperson of the NRM party, he also appoints the leadership of
Committees.
the committees.
He doesn't. It is the central.
The
executive
delegate,
committee.
yeah, I mean, the central
He's the
executive
chairperson
committee.
of the
Wait, let us not argue. The chairperson of the SEC happens to be the president of this country. So when
The chairperson of your party.
no, you don't say my
Happens-
party. The chairperson of
NRM.
any party,
Uh-huh.
the party delegates leadership. If it is
Okay.
in these policy committees, that is the ruling party, and if it is the oversight committees, it is the opposition. That's very clear. It is settled. But the policy to shift into rationalization. What was wrong is what? Why is it attracting debate, as the minister is saying? What attracts the debate is that coffee is a universal crop, international.
It is not politicized at all.
And being international, the players are multiple, both in the country and outside the country. So, meaning that even the policy of rationalization was okay because it is supported with the aim of cutting costs, removing redundant staff to be deployed somewhere else, idle bodies, and duplication. But all of these bills are tested through Parliament from executive. Because the minister must defend what executive presented to Parliament. But when the Parliament they found that some of these bills, as the minister was saying, were actually not well understood. One of them is like consumptive agencies, which would only receive money, but they don't generate money. An example of the one that generates money would be like Uganda Wildlife Authority, where they have their own revenue, and excess can even go to government or it is invested. Another agency that generates revenue is like Uganda Bureau of Statistics, like Registration Services Bureau. They generate revenue and contribute to a budget. Another agency is like Coffee Development Authority, where they generate money from the other 2% of export. But now government, because of cost of resources, the limited resources, government wants to pick the resources to be used centrally because we have a single treasury account. But when you talk of duplication, it does not pass the test.
Yes.
Okay.
So what happens is that, one, as the minister said, there was a study. So a scientific study, a scientific study was not there.
Okay.
Because in the Parliament, no, let us wait.
No.
A scientific study was not there because on the floor of the
Honorable
House.
Kwizera,
No,
I'm not suppressing
if
your
we
point.
don't exhaust it,
Yes, I'm not
you will
ex-
not understand
I'm not
it.
suppressing your point.
No, wait,
I just
there
want
was
us-
no scientific study.
Hold it a moment.
On the floor of the House, Muruli Mukasa said, we have a paper from Minister of Public Service, which they took to
the
cabinet, and the cabinet took a decision. That is how government works.
That's why.
But there was also Nasani Byanyuma committee, which looked at what can be rationalized and what can be phased. See, that one also, a report was adopted. So when you are debating with the information in the background, people will get more informed and better informed.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, there is
That's
no
why-
supplement on
that's why-
rationalization.
That's why I wanted to give adequate time to this
Yeah.
after a very short break, because I was short the
I
break.
hope you'll give me a chance to
I
clarify.
will. Certainly I will. Let's take a break.